Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Exes Podcast. I'm Scott.
I'm Therese.
And we're the Exes. And, this week, this show, we're going to be talking about catching up on some of the crimes that we've been talking about over the last year. Maybe a few new things we'll bring into the mix. Certainly, this will probably be the last show before the holiday, before Christmas comes around. So we're wishing you a Merry Christmas. I don't know. Well, I don't know. When's Christmas? How close are we to Christmas?
A week, right?
Yeah. So we're not going to do a show next week. So yeah, it'll be Christmas, and then we'll be back. So I hope everybody out there is going to have a nice Christmas. We were just debating in the pre-show about how she's decorated her house and I haven't decorated mine. So
yes, you must put something out.
Yes, I would like to hear from our people out there. If you live alone, do you need to decorate? That's what I want to know. And assuming your kids don't come over to the house, because my kids all live up north, so they're not coming over. Should I decorate? Should I still have to decorate? Have to, like it's a bad thing, right?
Oh my gosh!
I know. Are you making plans? You figured out what your holiday is going to be like, because you got all the kiddies up there and everything.
Yes. Well, Emily is not going to be here. She's actually going to be in Florida. So Jessica, Ian, and the kids are going to come over. Depending on what I have to work, we might do it on the 23rd, but hopefully it's going to be on Christmas Eve. And then Tara and I can just do our own thing Christmas morning, and then I usually head over to the kids' house to see what they got and all of that good stuff. But it's very relaxed, very easy, very relaxed. Tara's going to have to split her time a little bit, so.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm doing very similar. I'm going to visit my mom and probably have mom and Karen and come over have dinner on Christmas Day or something. Just cook, relax, watch a little football. Christmas. Yeah. I wanted to ask you though. You're working in retail, not as an extra. Which at a clothing store. Now, you've done this before COVID. You've done the retail thing at Christmas time, too. It's a good way to make extra cash. I get it, right?
Right.
Is it as busy as it used to be? Because a lot of people I'm talking to since COVID have just stopped shopping altogether, like out live.
No, it's been busy, especially on the weekends. Yeah. When I do work a couple evenings during the week sometimes, and those are not quite as busy. But the weekend, like last Saturday, I pulled into the parking lot and said, whoa, boy, there's a lot of cars. And there were a lot of people in the store.
Well, I'm glad you do it. Somebody's got to do it. But I would lose it because you work, we don't have to mention where you are, but you work in those places where there's a lot of folded clothes on tables. And people like to rummage through those. And nobody knows. Yeah, nobody knows how to refold them. Nobody ever, or if they try, they do a shit job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They even take things, coats off hangers and then just like leave the coat like not on the hanger. Like really just put it back on the hanger. But anyway.
Oh.
I get my steps in. It works.
Little courtesy, people. This is a learning opportunity to go and learn how to fold a T-shirt properly. Go and do that. Yeah,
the worst section is in the kids section. And I'm sure it's the moms, obviously, right? Mostly.
Yeah.
But that seems to get really bad really quickly.
Well, I hate shopping that kind of stuff anyway. You talking about like baby stuff or like teenage kids?
Oh, baby through.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because shopping for like 6 to 9 month clothing and 12 to 24 months and those kind of things, that's a pain in the ass because they all look the same size until you look at the label. So you got to take them out. You got to look at the label and you got to figure it all. So yeah, I guess that's a pain in the ass, but people be polite. If you're going to go out shopping, don't make a mess. It's not necessary. I think some people do it on purpose.
It's okay. It's giving me a job.
Oh, that's true. True. That's a good point.
Let's see.
Good point. But okay, well, that's interesting to hear that there's a lot of traffic out there because, like I said, I'm meeting a lot of people who are like, hey, since COVID and with Amazon and all the other options out there, I don't go to malls and I don't go to stores anymore.
Well, I have to say, I've adjusted the way I exit our parking lot because we are like down this little road from the mall. And so at this time of year, there's usually like a police up there directing traffic.
Oh, wow.
Those cars come down that hill so fast. And it's like, it'll be like 20 in a row. So I've adjusted and I exit a different way and go maybe a block or two out of my way just so I can not have to wait in line to try and turn there.
So what's more exhausting, being a nurse and dealing with patients or being in retail and dealing with customers? What's more exhausting?
Being a nurse.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Oh, okay. What you got to do is you got to stick one of those things in their mouth and put one of those things on their arm. That's
well, that's not, no. You have
I
to
know.
answer their chart messages. You have to answer their phone calls. You have to call them back. You have to listen to them complain. Yeah.
And there's a little bit of paperwork involved, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, computer work. Yes.
Computer work. Right. New terms. Computer work. All right. Hey, listen, let's talk about some crime. And again, we wish everybody happy holidays, but let's talk about some crime. What do you want? Who do you want to talk about first? Should we go right to our favorite?
Lori.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
Tell us what's going on with the Lori Vallow Daybell crime syndicate family there.
Well, hers is pretty short. She had her appearance in court in Arizona to face the charges of conspiracy to murder Charles and Brandon, her nephew-in-law. And so that was pretty much a not guilty plea. She had a couple of questions, whether she's going to have one lawyer or different lawyers for each case. And that was about it.
All right. So she in the, what state was she in before?
Arizona. Oh,
Arizona.
Idaho.
Where?
Well, she's in Arizona now, but the kid's murder was in Idaho.
Okay. Idaho.
Yeah.
So she's been convicted of killing the two kids, conspiracy to kill her new husband's wife.
Yes.
Prior, and basic other charges that all went along with that, with evading and doing stuff and obstruction. So she's got, she's never getting out of prison. Now they get that all settled. She's in prison in Arizona, and then they got to ship her to where?
No, she was in prison in Idaho.
In Idaho. They shipped her to Arizona.
They shipped her to Arizona.
Now, I understand that she was being charged with conspiracy to kill her husband or her ex-husband, Charles Vallow.
Mm-hmm.
They did this by faking an event where Charles went after her brother and her brother killed him in self-defense, but it's been proven it was really kind of just all fake and a setup. But what is the other charge on Brandon? I did not realize they were charging her for that.
Yes. He had an attempt on his life outside of his house. They shot like inches from his head. They blew out his whole window of his car. And so she's charged with conspiracy of that also, that attempted murder.
I didn't know they ever tied that to them because I didn't know there was any witnesses or what do you have any idea how they tied them to that?
The Jeep.
Oh.
The Jeep that was Charles's Jeep, and Tylee was known to drive it, but Tylee was already murdered by the time the attempt was on Brandon.
Wow.
And I think there's some like GPS or whatever too,
Okay. All right. So now she's facing these charges. I guess these could probably be a life sentence as well, if she's charged, especially with the conspiracy to kill her husband. Oh, Lynn's with us. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Now, Chad Daybell, her new husband, who is now facing charges for killing his wife and being a part of the murders of the children. Where's he at, and what's going to happen with him? What point are we at here? I don't believe the official trial starts until February, but what's
it's
going on?
supposed to be April 1st.
April, okay.
Yeah. So he's in jail waiting trial. They just had some motions for him that they presented to the judge. They wanted the prosecution did not want to allow the camera in jail or at the court during the trial.
Okay.
His actual lawyer wants them in there. So, and then I believe it was the prosecutors that wanted to move the trial from Ada County, where they tried Lori, and move it back to Idaho. I don't know why. And
I think that's a reasonable request because, I mean, it was pretty much the same crime that's being charged. Almost all crossover, almost all of it was already tried and found guilty there. So in that county is already kind of tainted because it's going to be the same trial for somebody else. I could see moving it back to Idaho. I mean, nowhere else, but that wouldn't make sense to me. I would not argue about that.
The only problem with Idaho is they have about 3,000 residents eligible for jury duty. They called 1,800 in Lori's trial to find the right jurors, right? Chad's is still a death penalty case. So they're going to have to pool more than 1,800. So there's not a big enough jury pool in Idaho.
Wow.
There's like 33 to 40,000 people in Ada County.
Okay.
It's just it's just like the big city of the small town, you know?
I'm just curious about, I have a feeling Chad's going to cut some sort of deal to avoid death. I just have a feeling about that.
Well, actually they asked, they want the death penalty off of the table for him. And they're saying because Lori had it removed and that it's only fair and blah, 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 blah. And she's more culpable. And so the way that his lawyer was talking in court, it sounds like they are going to blame this all on Lori and that he was under her spell and he was just following whatever she wanted him to do and blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's interesting. And you know what? Some of that might fly. And here's why. Was Chad involved in any way in the murder of Charles?
Well, I think that there is some kind of emails that where she was trying to get him to come to Arizona.
Okay. But at this point, we don't see where he's got a real connection to that crime, which means she committed the major crime first without his participation. So he can really paint her to be the evil one, that he fell under her spell. He could try that. I'm just saying, I could see where they might try for that.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he could try it. He could try it. Of course. I mean, obviously he's fighting for his life, so he's going to try anything, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And they have the right to do that. I mean, that's what it's all about. Is this going to be televised? Do we know?
It is going. The judge has allowed courtroom for the trial. So it's going to be broadcast over the court's YouTube channel. Well, it's not going to be the best cameras, but yes, they are going to have cameras. Kind of like, I don't know if you watched any of the Letitia Stuck trial.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of like that. They'll have like 3 different views. Yeah,
and they all suck. They got to get Quentin Tarantino in there to show them how to take better videos and stuff because all of the videos are like the worst possible angles to watch stuff, I know. They're not letting the media bring in any though. And he ruled that the trial is going to stay in Ada County because of those reasons that he doesn't think that there's a big enough jury pool to pull from in East Idaho. And he hasn't made a ruling on the death penalty yet. All right. I think I agree with you. I would expect that that's going to be a serious conversation because they did take it off the table for her. But I have a feeling there's no way he could possibly think he can win in a trial situation. There's no possible way. If he really believes that, the guy's nuts.
I think he really believes that.
Really thinks so. Well, we know he has delusions of grandeur. He thinks that he died and got brought back. I mean, that's what this guy is.
Right.
So, well, give him the lethal injection and see what happens. If he comes back, then he's free.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we will get more on that. When is the trial for Lori starting? For Lori,
I don't think they put a date out yet for hers.
Really, they brought her over without a trial date set?
I don't. Well, if they do have one, I don't know. Google it.
Okay, I will Google it.
Google it.
All right, so we probably got another year of entertainment from this one. I hate to say it that way, but it's tough. It's tough. Very painful. All right. That being said, let's move on to another person. This one I would like to talk about for a moment, which is our buddy Alex Murdaugh, who killed his wife and his son on a piece of property they owned, shot them, killed them, tried to get away with it, did not. 2 life sentences. There's also other problems with the family. There was a boating accident that his oldest son was involved in, where somebody died, where that is still pending as a court case. There was a murder of a young boy out on a highway where, that's still under investigation from years ago, where they think one of the Murdaugh kids killed this guy, but that's not up really in the front yet. There was a housekeeper that died on the property, and Murdaugh, being a lawyer, sued himself and his own insurance companies on behalf of the housekeeper's family, then kept all the money for himself. So he sued himself, sued his own insurance companies, then kept the money for himself and never gave it to the family. And on top of all that, he was a member of a law firm where he stole anywhere between $8 and $18 million from the law firm. There's just misappropriated funds and did all that. Plus, he had an addiction apparently to opiates. I don't know if I believe that. I think they were trying to explain why he took the money, and that's why he did that. But so this Murdaugh family, big name in a small town, in the South. He was screwed financially. He went crazy, killed his family, did all this. They got him on the murders. He's serving 2 life sentences for the killing of his wife and his son, leaving one of his sons alive to inherit everything. Oh, I forgot to mention, in the midst of all this, after he killed his wife and his son, and they started looking at him, he paid somebody to kill him so his remaining son would get his life insurance, and they even screwed that up. Where the guy shot him in the head, but still couldn't kill him.
Well, no, actually, that guy that he talked to about it refused to do it. And I think Alec kind of tried to shoot himself, but just grazed himself. I don't know if he really wanted that to be a death or if he was staging that as an attempt to try and gain some.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. Maybe to take the scent off of him being the murderer. Somebody's out to kill the whole family, and that's what he. But they were found guilty. He and his, they called him the cousin, even though they weren't really related. But he was the cousin. They found them both guilty of insurance fraud because they were trying to defraud insurance. So maybe it's just the story. I don't know. I think it's a mess. But here's the whole thing: he's found murderer. He's found guilty of these murders. He's serving sentence in prison. Now, 2 life sentences, never going to be out. Now he's back in court, and they find him guilty of a lot of these financial crimes. And they just sentenced him to another 27 years, which we were talking about earlier. And that's an interesting case. You got somebody who's in jail, 2 life sentences, and then they keep bringing him back to court and spending this money in court. to find him guilty of more stuff where he's never going to get out of jail anyway. Where I think what's more important is finding a way to get restitution to these people that he stole from.
Yeah.
They have.
Some of them have received the restitution so far.
Yeah, but where's this restitution coming from?
The firm.
Well, the law firm did pay some people. That's true. Yeah.
Yes, they did, because they did say that they were partly responsible because they should have known what he was doing. And one of those partners in that law firm is his brother. His brother was also in that law firm. So he basically stole from his brother.
Yes. And it was a law firm that was founded by his grandfather, for crying out loud. These people were brought.
I don't know how you.
Well, you broke up. What'd you say?
I don't know how low you can get. I think that's terrible.
I know they were like a royalty family in this town, right? They were royalty. Here's my point: is that we're doing all this legal stuff. Listen, we know what he did. This is where financial restitution. I believe all rights that Alex had as a person with a story now belong to the victims' families, and the victims can sell the story, his story. Because Lifetime Movie Network's ready to make a movie about this damn thing. These people are ready to write books. I believe the family should own all media, film, and book rights of the convicted killers. And that money should go to them. And they should go out and sell it. They should go out and find a way to make money off of it. And he should never have another right to earn a dime for the rest of his life. Anything that is earned off of his name, and he has no right of refusal for any of it. So that's just what I believe. I don't know. What do you think about that, Therese?
That's a good idea. That is a good idea. I mean, because they absolutely are going to be making movies, books. There already has been, right? I think there's already been like a documentary on Netflix. I'm sure there's already books out there.
Yeah. And people are getting paid for that. It should not be a member of his family. It should be the victim's family should all have the legal rights to collect on this stuff. The family of his wife his son is his family, but then there's the other people, the people he swindled out of that money, and all these people, they should. I believe anybody like that. There's too many times we've seen like these movies and books come out, and these criminals are signing off saying you could do my life story. And I don't know, a lot of them aren't allowed to make any money on it, but somebody should. So let's give it all to the victims. Let's sign away their rights as a human to earn money. They still have their rights to live and breathe and to be locked up. That's fine. But everything else should be forfeited to the families. And I would love to see that happen. And all this stuff about adding year after year, it's not helping anybody. Let's get some restitution back to the families. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And by the way, if you look at Alex Murdaugh, if you guys want to look up Alex Murdaugh, he is the least likely guy that you look at and say, there's a serial killer right there. He's just such a goofy looking little son of a bitch. I mean, he's just weird. Right?
Yeah.
He looks like the ice cream man. That's what he looks like. He looks like an ice cream man.
Yeah, I'm not buying ice cream again from a truck.
All right. What else are we looking at here for this week?
All right. So the murder of Dan Markel. His ex-wife's brother has been convicted of hiring hitmen to kill him. So the hitman had been convicted. The go-between, which was the brother-in-law's ex-girlfriend, she's been convicted of arranging it all, like being.
Wait a minute, you already lost me. So the brother-in-law, who is what's his name?
Charlie Adelson.
Adelson. So the brother-in-law Adelson, and who was the other person? The sister-in-law?
No. The female that was convicted was Charlie's ex-girlfriend, who also has babies with one of the hitmen. So she him and his friend to do the job.
Oh my God, this is like so twisted. This is absolutely twisted. Now, first of all, how was he killed?
He was shot in his driveway, in his car, twice in the head.
And
In
they were
Tallahassee.
of course, in Florida. That's where all the freaks live.
The hitmen were from Miami, so they drove a rented car all the way up to Tallahassee, shot him, and around, and drove back to Miami.
Which, by the way, is anywhere between an 8 and 10 hour drive.
Yeah.
Just so you know, so people know.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead. Go.
So Charlie is the brother-in-law. He was guilty of conspiracy to murder Dan Markel and to be kind of like the guy that did the hiring, right?
Yeah.
Of the hitman. So he was sentenced to, I don't know, life without the possibility of parole. First degree murder, automatic without possibility of parole. He recently had his sentencing, where Dan Markel's parents, they did their victim statements, all of that. They gave Charlie the chance to say something, and he stood up and said, "I maintain my innocence," and sat down.
That's it.
That's it. So he's there. He's in Tallahassee prison, life without parole. He got 30 years consecutively. I forgot what for. Whatever count number 2 was.
All right.
And then count number 3, he got 30 more years consecutively with 597 days credit. So.
Okay. So he's in prison.
He's in prison. So a week later.
And he didn't kill anybody. He hired people to kill this person.
Correct.
Okay. So what is that charge listed as? Is it listed as conspiracy or is it listed as murder?
What'd you say?
I'm wondering what the charge is listed as. Is he guilty of murder or guilty of conspiracy to commit murder?
First degree murder.
So you do get the first degree murder charge even if you don't pull the trigger?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's what I wanted to clear up. Now, tell me what's going on with Donna Adelson. How does she fit into this mess?
So she's Charlie's mother and Wendy, the ex-wife. She was arrested a week after he was found guilty, 1 week to the day. She was arrested in Miami airport, getting on a plane to go to Vietnam via Dubai on a one-way ticket with her husband, Harvey. Now they're in like their 70s now.
Yeah.
So she's being charged with conspiracy to commit the murder of Dan Markel. So she's kind of being looked at as the person that to do it, push Charlie to arrange it. She's like the project head.
She's the project. All right. I'm going to be the foreman for this murder. Let me tell you everybody what everybody's going to do. All right. So she was the antagonist, it sounds like. She's the one who was pulling all the strings and getting everybody riled up into a frenzy of murder, right?
Yes. So
and if you look at her picture, if anybody wants to look her picture up, you could see this as being absolutely possible just by looking at her. Scary. She is scary.
So their background is they're a very affluent family from South Florida, right?
Yeah. Well, Charlie was a dentist, right?
A periodontist, like a specialist dentist. Yeah. His father is a dentist. His father had a practice down there. I guess Charlie kind of brought a lot of business with the, more newer age dentistry, but he also traveled around to different dentist offices to do, the more updated surgeries and stuff. When we met, they're Jewish. and Wendy met this guy on J-Date. They were married for a few years. They had 2 kids. They both got jobs up at FSU. So they moved up to Tallahassee for the jobs. And apparently the parents didn't really like the fact that she was way up there. And then when they were getting divorced, the mom wanted her and the kids to move back to South Florida so she could be under her thumb. And the judge said, no, the kids have to stay in Tallahassee. So I think that's what sparked all of that, is this family did not have control anymore over their grandchildren and daughter.
So this is a family that's well-to-do, lots of money.
Lots of money.
Educated, smart people.
Mm-hmm.
And they still do dumb shit like this. It just doesn't make any sense. Did the daughter play a role? The actual mother of these children, did she have anything to do with this?
I think that they're trying to decide that. There was a memorial for her husband, ex-husband. They were already divorced, by the way. Like, the divorce was done.
This was just a custody problem.
Yes, this was a custody problem.
Okay.
So they had a memorial for her ex-husband, and the next day she moved with the kids down to South Florida. There is some inconsistencies in her explanations. She testified times, though. She's testified in each of the trials, even her brothers. But she keeps, and she has some immunity. I forgot what it's called. But whatever she testifies to in those other 3 trials, they can't bring up if she ever has a trial, they can't bring it up in her trial.
Oh, okay. All right.
But there are some people that I don't know. For me personally, I don't know if she had anything to do with the planning, but I do believe that she possibly knew it was going to happen. And that I think she definitely knew after the fact that it was her family that arranged it. I do think that.
Well, yeah. You can't have the mother involved, the brother, her brother involved, 2 hitmen involved, and just have all those people involved and not. She had to have some heads up. There had to be. It doesn't make sense that they would do all that without. Well, maybe they would. I don't know. People are crazy. But these are people of means. There was not they could have shared custody. Yeah, it's a little bit of a distance, but these people didn't have a problem getting quick tickets on a plane or something and doing that kind of thing. There was no reason to do this. Yeah. This was absolutely about just having control and having, obviously, this ringleader of a mom, this wingnut. She obviously was just a control freak.
Yeah, well, she still is. They had some motions against the jail at her, so they addressed those motions from her lawyer before her arraignment. Her arraignment was very short. It's just what you're charged with. You plead not guilty, blah, 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 right? That's very short. But she was complaining because when she was arrested in Miami, I believe they went after her at the airport because when the week that Charlie was in jail after he was convicted, they spoke 35 hours, his mother and him. That averages out to like 5 hours a day of talking on the phone on recorded lines from a jail, which they tell you are recorded lines in the jail.
Oh, and my God.
She said, I guess on those recorded lines, she said that she was getting her affairs in order, that she was making sure that the grandchildren were going to be all set, and that she would commit suicide by taking sleeping pills if she couldn't get out of the country before she was arrested.
And I believe they had one-way tickets to Vietnam.
They had one-way tickets. Yes, they had one-way ticket.
Yeah.
So I believe that's why they picked her up. So now she's on suicide watch, right? Because she said this, and they have it on tape. And so she was complaining now that she's up in Tallahassee that they still have her on suicide watch, that she has to sit naked in her cell, that she doesn't have, she has a mattress on the floor, that she can't have utensils to eat. We're allowed to speak to her lawyer. She can't have like a tablet, blah, blah, blah. So she had all these complaints. She's a privileged white woman who thinks that jail should be cushy, I guess. So basically what the judge ruled is that, you know, Tallahassee, this is their policy when people are on suicide watch. She hasn't been released by medical yet to be off of that, but they will make their best attempts to get her to, like, they can bring her to a different room and she can use a laptop to talk to her lawyer. People can be outside the room with a window. They don't have to be right next to her. So they're going to make accommodations, but she also wanted to be released on 2 home arrest since she's been so mistreated there. Which was,
my God. Well, listen,
even the judge didn't even address that.
my heart goes out to her. My heart does. If we can get the address of that jail, I would love to send her a 6-foot length of rope, and just really help her along her way. Oh my God, this family.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, where are we at? We've got, how many kids? Was it 2 kids that this was all over, or 1?
2, yeah. 2 boys.
2 kids. So really the only thing that's left in this whole scenario are these 2 kids and the mom.
And Donna's husband, Harvey.
The father, the grandfather of the kids.
Yeah.
Which either he's the dumbest human being on the planet for not knowing what was going on around him, or they, well, you know, maybe he is. Maybe they actually did all this behind his back. How would the mother and the son cooperate to do something like this and the father not know? I mean, that's just...
Well, there are emails directly from Donna to Wendy, and she says, your father and I, your father and I, your father and I. So I think that, but the problem with Wendy and Harvey is I don't think that they have really enough evidence to think that they could get a conviction at this point. But the way that the prosecutor has done this, she brought they arrested the hitmen and charged them first. So as they were going through their interrogations and their trials, they got little breadcrumbs of more information, right? So then they got to the girlfriend. So they charged her, arrested her, had her trial. They info off of her phone, her computer. She went by the dental office that she did not work at. She somehow, plastic surgery was paid for her to enhance her chest. And and she got a brand new car. So she was getting paid, right? She's getting paid.
Wow.
So with her trial, they got little breadcrumbs that led them to Charlie. They had this one video of him talking to her, meeting with her in a restaurant. And he was saying, if I thought that they had any idea, I would be on the next plane out of the country.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, who knows? They might get more breadcrumbs as they go then, because now they got Donna.
I think that's what they're thinking. And then now they have seized Donna's computers, phone, Harvey's computer. So yeah.
This is just too crazy. Yeah, so I guess we'll see what happens with her. I would assume they're not going to be putting off the trial for too long, because if they are picking up these things as they go, the longer they wait, the worse it'll be. So they probably want to keep it going pretty quick at this point, right?
Yeah, her lawyer actually was pushing for, the judge offered the next case update. You know how they have these little court things before, as you're leading up to a trial. Yeah. He suggested February or March, and he said, is that too soon for you? And she said, no, I want it earlier. We were thinking January. So her next court appearance will be January 9th.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So we'll see what goes on with that. And we'll try to maybe for one of our upcoming shows, we'll do a little bit more of a timeline, and we're gonna need a chart. We're gonna need some sort of organizational chart to figure this out. I'll tell you what, between the Adelsons and the Valo Daybell crime syndicate families, there's a lot of bloody mess. Just a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
I've never, it's rarely do you see this kind of thing where there's so many people involved in a conspiracy to commit one murder. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And by the way, just for those of you out there who are thinking about it, do not hire hitmen from your hometown to drive up, do a hit, then come back to your town. You definitely want to keep some separation there. It makes no sense, people.
Once they identified the car, they were able to track the car all the way up, all the way back. And it had one thing that clued them in, and which told them that they had the exact right car, is that it had a sun pass thing in the window. And Tallahassee doesn't have any toll roads. So no cars up in Tallahassee have a sun pass because they don't need it. There's no tolls up there.
Right.
So once they found out where the car was rented, they looked, and those who with them is like the leader of the Latin Kings or something, had his own name right on the receipt, like right on the rental agreement. Like his real legal name.
Yeah, didn't even try. But put some effort in.
Not a very smart hitman.
Rent the car under the name Judy Finkel. Just try something, all right? Just put in some effort. My God. We're looking at this. We saw the Murdaugh family crime trial, and a lot of it had to do with pinging cell phones and even where the car was at times. And they could track all that. You can't just drive a car across state without people catching you on camera or on tolls or somewhere. If you got a cell phone in your possession, they will find you. These are all things. It's not like it used to be. There was the college murders that happened last year. They got the guy because they got all this camera footage of his car being at all the right places at all the right times. So this is not that we're not trying to do how to get away with murder. We're not doing that. just saying that you're going to get caught. You ought to be thinking about this stuff. If you're making phone calls and sending emails, holy shit, how stupid is somebody to send an email? Do you think you can hit delete and it actually goes away? No. Oh my God.
I know. It's crazy.
Go get yourself some carrier pigeons or something. Let's go back. If you go back to old school, you used to be able to commit a murder, and you could even get cut and bleed all over the crime scene yourself. And if you walk out the front door before the cops got there, you got away with it. Because the cops would get there, they see an extra pool of blood, they say yuck and clean it up, and that would be it. They wouldn't do anything. They didn't have fingerprints, they didn't have anything. Now, just stop killing people. It's never going to work out for you.
It's crazy that people don't think of these things. I mean, when I talk with somebody about, I don't know, a product or something, the next time I open Facebook, Instagram, that's all I see is ads for exactly what we were talking about.
Exactly.
How do people not realize that everything is being listened to?
Everybody out there, George Orwell, 1984. Read the book. Read the book. Big Brother is watching. It's not just a good TV show. It's real. I'd like to add in one final piece for our crime talk today. And Therese, thanks for all the information. You did great today.
Thank you.
Is a little bit of an update on the Gabby Petito murder. She and her boyfriend Brian Laundrie were doing kind of a cross-country. What do they call that?
Fan blog.
A what? Fan blog?
Fan blog, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they were recording, videoing, and taking pictures and doing all that all on social media about their trips across the trip across the country. And 99.9% of everything you see is just like cute couple, looks like they're having a great time, and it's like, oh, I want to be in that picture too. And it was all cool. He kills her. He strangles her, leaves her in the desert, and drives back home to Florida. They're halfway across the country. I forgot which state they were in when they found which state was the body in. Do you remember? Was it Utah or something like that?
Utah, Moab, Utah, I believe.
Yeah. So Utah leaves the body there. He goes back to Florida, which was up in a kind of the central North Florida area where his family lives, and comes home, and everybody says, "Where's Gabby?" And he goes, "I don't know. Nothing." Police come to him. He won't talk to the police. Gabby's family is contacting the Petito family, contacting the Laundrie family, Brian's family, saying, "Where's Gabby?" They won't talk to them. And they were all friends. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Brian comes home without this girl, and everybody shuts down. And Brian's parents became complicit completely in the crime because they all knew what happened. They knew that he killed her, and they were helping him cover his tracks. Now, the idea that there is not a criminal charge against them is beyond ridiculous. It is the minute they recognized that there was a crime that happened, they had a responsibility to come forward and talk to the police. They had a response. I don't care if it's your son or not. I know it breaks your heart, but it's the law. If you lie about a murder, you're a part of the murder. I'm sorry.
It's also ethically.
Hello.
And morally responsible. I
would hate to think that one of my kids, one of your kids, or anybody that, even somebody we know could do that kind of thing. But I also come from a world, in my personal life where I've even done things that were very questionable because of an addiction and other things that I went through in my life. And I've met other people that have done some really horrible things that were able to turn their lives around. So it doesn't mean, I'm not saying it's okay to kill anybody, but I'm just saying, if there was a fight, if he lost control and he went and he took responsibility and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe what I did." And that would be one thing. I'll be able to look at him and say, you need help, brother. You need help. Bad, don't kill. It's bad and be punished, but you need help. But to come back and have everybody work on this cover up and not talk to the police and not talk to the family who were been your friends for years, who've trusted you with their daughter, to not talk to them, every one of those people should be sitting in jail right now. He is dead. And he wouldn't be dead. He would be in jail if the parents had cooperated to begin with. So congratulations. He killed Gabby, and they killed their son by not getting him help. Now, after all of that, there is no criminal charge, but there are civil charges against them. The Petito family is suing the snot out of the Laundrie family. So they're going to get... But you know what? Financial restitution does not replace punishment for a crime. I believe that. I believe they should be held up as an example. You do not help cover up crimes. They found letters. There's information that proves, because of phone calls that the family made to the lawyer, it's proof they knew Brian did the wrong thing and that he hurt her, but they didn't do anything about it. So what do you think about that? Does that get you as upset as I do, as I get?
Yes. And it got me so upset all during that time because they blocked the Petitos. They wouldn't respond. Once Brian was back home, he wasn't seen. He wouldn't come to the door and talk to them. They held him up in that house until the day he left. But it's crazy. And one thing about the Petitos is I don't think they're actually doing it for the money. I think that they're doing it for, they're hurt.
It's the only form of punishment they have at their disposal.
And they have a foundation in Gabby's name, and they are doing good things, and they are helping other families. So I'm pretty sure anything that they do get is going to go towards their foundation that they're building. But, it's just, they're angry and they're hurt, and they want somebody to pay something for the death of their daughter.
I understand. And, it was probably so unsatisfying to find Brian dead. Now, how Brian Laundrie died, apparently he went off into a state park area, swampy area. Must have hung out there for a little bit of time because he had some equipment there with him. And then he put a bullet in his head, and they found him in the water partially decomposed and a little bit eated from the critters. But yeah.
Coward's way out.
Yeah. He left on his terms, and I think that probably doesn't sit well with the family. How the hell do you get to choose your way out?
Agreed.
Gabby didn't have a choice. But I am going to put this out here, and Therese, reel me in if I go too far, because I don't want to offend anybody, all right? Be ready.
Okay.
There was a point during their trip, and this was a very big part of the case when they were looking at this. Not that they actually went to court anywhere, but they were looking in the investigation, where a short time before she died, a few days before she died, they got pulled over by the police because they were fighting. Or the police were contacted because they were fighting. She had a mark on her eye. He had hit her, obviously. She was obviously upset and terrified. If you ever find yourself in a position where you feel physically threatened or abused in any way, just go all the way to getting help. Don't try to make it better by yourself. Don't assume it's going to be okay tomorrow. Get help. If the police officer's saying, did somebody hurt you? You say yes. If she had spoken up at that time, she would be alive today.
Well, you know that they also have a lawsuit against that police department because she had injuries. She was visibly upset. He had him with her phone, and they separated them, but they were charging her with domestic violence. They let him go in the van, and they put her in a hotel overnight. They separated them, but they made it sound like it was her.
Wow. But they separated them, but did they charge anybody? No.
No.
And in some states, if you're called for domestic violence, charges must be filed. You don't get to show up in some states, and I know it's in New York State. If you have a domestic violence call, if the police or maybe it's in Jersey. If the police show up, you're not allowed to say everything's fine now. Somebody's going to jail. And there will be charges filed. It is a way of protecting, because too many times exactly what we saw happened, where it gets flipped. If you watch the video, she's terrified. If you watch the video, he's nervous. I mean, the police, if they couldn't pick up on that, if we can see it in the goddamn video, there's no way they shouldn't have seen it by standing right there. That this was a toxic situation. Right. And it just, all I'm saying is that please, if you're ever in those positions, just get help. Don't, can you work things out with people if there's been violence or bad stuff? Yes, of course you can. But that takes time and effort. It doesn't happen just because you say, I forgive you, and then you move on. No, you need to work on that stuff. So please, I just hate to see his life would be better. Her life would be better. The families would all be intact if the police just did their job. And if either one, if Gabby had just spoke up and said, I'm not doing this. So please empower yourself to do that. Yeah. I think by the murder itself, it kind of shows who the aggressor probably was.
Yeah.
In hindsight's 2020, but when I watch that video, I want to scream. Yeah. Because I mean, did you have that kind of response too, where it's just like, oh my God?
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. It's like, can't you see this girl and she's blaming herself. And that is what a lot of victims do. I know. I got upset. I've been in a bad mood. I've been stressed. She's blaming herself, which is classic what victims do. Yeah.
Yeah. If the police department, I believe there's a responsibility that must be shared. I believe the ruling of if there's a domestic violence call, someone needs to be charged and it needs to be looked into, and it cannot be dismissed, especially if there's marks on somebody's body. Holy shit. There's marks on the body. She probably weighed 98 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
She was tiny. Mm-hmm. Beautiful girl. And the two of them together, when they were smiling and everything, were like, oh my God, the perfect couple. I could see them in college together, and I can see this, and they look so fantastic. And then we had a glimpse into the violence, and nothing was done, and then someone died. And then people covered it up. This is just so much bullshit all the way around. I'm getting upset. I apologize for everybody out there. I don't mean to be on a soapbox, but 2 lives ended and 2 families were destroyed. It shouldn't have happened. It just should not have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wish that there would be criminal charges filed, and the civil trial, I get it. But there's got to be some accountability. If you help a family member cover a crime, you become part of that crime. It's just got to be,
Yeah.
And God forbid anybody should be put in a position where they've got to defend a family member who's done something horrible. But, I don't know.
Yeah. You still got to do the right thing, even if it is a family member. I mean, obviously something is wrong in their life if they're capable of doing that. So don't you want to make them pay? I mean, kids have consequences when they skip school, when they lie to their parents, right? So why is it once your children become adults, you don't expect them to face the consequences of their actions? I don't understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, it's kind of the golden rule. So, obviously take care of your family, protect your family. But the best thing they could have done for their son, Brian, was drive him to his lawyer's office, contact the police, and have him brought in. And that would have been protecting your son. Hiding him did not protect him. It did not protect him.
And actually, what was their lawyer doing?
Well, that's another thing. If a lawyer knows that somebody he was a person of interest. Did they ever have a warrant for his arrest?
No, I don't think so, because they could never talk to him.
Right. But once there's a warrant for the arrest, doesn't the lawyer have to tell where he is? Or is that still protected?
I don't know.
We'll have to look that up.
Pretty shady, and I'm hoping that actual lawyer does not have very much business going on these days.
Apparently he's killing it, or at least killing his clients. Therese, we've come to the end of the show already. Can you believe it?
I can't. That was fast. It
was fast. We covered a lot of stuff. We talked about our good friends Lori and Chad, Valo Daybell, coming to a cult near you. So watch out for those two. We talked about the Adelson case. We talked about our friend Murdaugh, and of course, the good old pile of laundry up there in upstate Florida, the Laundry family, and the tragic case of Gabby Petito. We will be bringing you more crime going into our new year. We'll probably catch you again right after Christmas. If you're available that week, we'll have to look at your schedule, Therese. But that would be whatever day it is.
Whatever day it is.
Like the 27th or something like that. So we can get a show in between Christmas and New Year's if we're both available. So we'll take a look at our schedules. We'll let you know. But if not, we'll see you right after the New Year. But we'll bring you more on crime. We'll take a look at the new year coming up. And actually, I have a couple of people that would like to join us on the show, Therese, to talk about how they've maintained a great friendship after their divorce.
Oh, what? Say that again.
I've got a couple of people who would like to be on the show who were married. They got divorced, but they're still great friends. Okay. And they'd like to, because we started the show about that, about being exes and still being friends. And once they heard about the show I was doing, they were very interested in coming on. So maybe we'll set that up for the beginning of the year at some point.
All right. Sounds good.
In the meantime, we'll be looking out for crimes. We'll be looking out for strangeness and weirdness and all the other things. If you guys have any crimes or any cases you'd like to look at, cold case or new cases, please let us know. Just reach out to us on Facebook. Put something in the comments. Teresa and I are always reading the comments, so put something in the comments. And we're always willing to look up new stuff and find new things to talk about. Right, Teresa?
Right.
Any Christmas message for everybody out there?
Happy holidays to everybody. I hope everyone is safe and enjoy.
Absolutely. And of course, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, whatever you're celebrating this time of year, celebrate it well, celebrate it with family, and prepare to go into the new year maybe a little kinder, a little nicer, maybe a little more relaxed. And, if we all do our little parts, this world will get better and better every day. But for the Exes Podcast, Scott and Therese, I want to thank you guys for being here. Happy holidays. We will catch you next time. Bye-bye.